G'day everyone. Proud to say Bar Karate is brought to you by Radix Nutrition, makers of the most technically comprehensive nutrition products that have ever existed. Unlock your potential with Radix. G'day listeners. Welcome to Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer. It's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors, but of course, have to spend my time with my two idiot mates. First off, Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
How are you, bud?
Bugger you, blokes.
Bugger you. No, bugger you, mate. What have we
done? At least
done?
it's a nice time for me at last. I get home from work and I walk in and I have a nice little scotch and everything's cool. And you guys will get up at 5 a.m. Beauty.
It's not all glamour, this podcasting, is it?
No, it's not easy, is it, eh?
Yeah. Well, let's bring in the other bloke.
Talk about not easy.
Yeah, go on. The other bloke.
Well, yeah.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bice.
Well, not for us athletes, BP. I've just been out for a morning run, just got back to the desk, slid the feet under. But Jordan, you've got a bit of an editing nightmare coming up because we're kind of recording this all ass about.
We are.
Yes.
And for the listener, time of recording Friday morning, 5:30 a.m.
Your time.
I'm in bed this morning at about, my time, 5:06 alarm, just wake up, just getting all inspired to get the feet under the desk ready to go for the potty. But what happens? 5:15, get an Outlook update. Sales meeting with the NZ and Europe for Southerns. So, fuck. Had to reschedule. That was a solid crossover. And then, but what you guys probably didn't, I thought I could host the Zoom call, be on the Teams call, but then it just got way too difficult with volumes and microphones and all that sort of stuff.
Well,
so
then also you realised you're a male and you can't do two things at once.
I was trying to rub my tummy, pat my head, just wasn't working. And then, here we are, hour and a half later, 7 a.m. I've missed the full interview, which you're about to launch into.
Yeah.
But
I love it. I love it.
But I've missed the full interview, but come in for basically the vinegar stroke. It's perfect.
Love it.
Can I say that?
No.
get the Academy Award, and like to thank all my friends, my mum.
I'd like to thank mum and I'd like to thank my mum and Brett's mum for listening.
Yeah.
Oh dear. All right. Well, it's a busy week, so there's a hell of a lot to talk about. It's cool. It's a good sailing week if you're a fan of sailing and you're into it. It's a good
massive
one. So we'll get into it. So what we've wanting to do. So we've mentioned many times that Bar Karate is about trying to grow the sport. And one thing that occurred to us.
How many times?
Many times. One thing that occurred to us was talking to all the athletes is great. We talk about pathways and stuff, but another pathway is actually identifying classes. And so one thing we want to start doing is chatting about different classes of boats, and we're going to bring that in. We're going to start doing that,
but not the run-of-the-mill classes. We're talking about classes.
Yeah, we want to highlight all the different sort of stuff.
Rainbow,
how good the rainbow.
We're not doing the rainbow.
We could bring we could do like a legends chat about the rainbow. Oh, I'm excited.
We didn't. This is not in the production meeting.
I've thrown you. I know you're excited about it.
What production meeting?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I host the production meeting, so right. Anyway.
Oh yeah, with yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So what we've done is we're going for that first one, and what we wanted to do is talk about a unique class. So as BP said, we want to get into all the fun ones, the interesting ones that you may not know about or may be of interest, and so. We wanted to get a really cool class that sort of really has caught our eye quite a bit. So the love for the class we're going to talk about is that you can be competitive in old boats and new boats. You can get them cheap. They're lightning fast, faster than most things on the water.
Too.
Hey?
You can build them relatively cheap.
Build them cheap. You can home build them. You can get them professionally built. Lightning fast. They look very different. And they're the oldest sailing dinghy in the world. So this is the longest running class. And so we really wanted to have a bit of a chat to them because, there's all sorts of different pathways and things to get into them, but just they look cool on the water. And I mentioned it a few times in the interview, but go and look at the videos of these things sailing. It's mind-blowing.
So Jordan, before you let on what you guys are going to be talking about, can I just, listeners, grab a piece of A4 piece of paper, cut it down the middle long ways,
and then fold the ends
then squeeze the ends up.
You may be starting to get an idea where we're going here. It might look like a canoe.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. I'll leave you to it. The intro.
Yeah. So we've given it away. We're going to be talking international canoes, and to do that, we've been joined by Geoff Carne, who's the Commodore of the Jarvis Bay Sailing Club and the current national champion, so the Australian champion in the class, and then also Craig Phillips, who's a bit of a legend with, he's been involved with I think 8 America's Cup campaigns, sail coordinator for Team Oracle, and when they won in 2010 and 2013, and is sailing these things. So, gentlemen, welcome to Barkarati. Thanks for joining us, lads. It's this will be a fun conversation. I'm really looking forward to it. First question: why would I want to sail a canoe?
Well, I'll take that one. I can answer for myself personally. I sail a canoe because it's the cheapest high performance class that I could self build to get into, and it's always a case of first when I'm out there on the racetrack, it's me versus the boat, and then if I actually make it around the Cairns and in any race that I actually sail, it's actually a good day.
Yeah,
and I always something new about myself, about the boat, and about the conditions every time I go out.
Nice answer.
Yeah, it's interesting on paper. We can see what a canoe is, but what defines a canoe for you guys? Like if you like, what are its characteristics that make it so appealing?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm only a newbie to the class, probably 3, maybe 4 years now.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I was drawn to the class was the flexibility of being able to do what you want to do with a class like this. It's still, in my mind and eyes, one of the best high performance kind of single-handed boats that isn't on foils. It's still very much a challenge, but you don't have all those. We can still use those simple back to roots kind of sailing background without trying to know how to foil, etc. So I just think that it's one of those things when you get out there and you're on the end of the plank, there's nothing like it. But I guess we've all had that same feeling with many classes, but when you're out there just doing it, it's there's nothing like it, and it can be as a challenge as you want it to be. You can push yourself harder by getting out further and hiking right off the end, which your feet are nowhere near the gunnel if you're swinging off the very end of the plank, versus if you're starting out and it gets a little bit breezy, you can sail it like a VJ and put your feet on the side of the gunnel and just kind of cruise around. So there's many ways of looking at it, but I just think that there's such a great exhilarating challenge for a high performance single-handed kind of boat. Hence a lot of us started getting into them just around that COVID time.
Yeah, look, for me, it's one of those classes that's kind of slipped under the radar. I mean, obviously, I sort of went a different route in my sailing, ended up on the bigger boats. But there's a lot of key points to this particular class. Obviously, being one of the oldest classes in the world, it's pretty cool to have. But it's an interesting boat because it's you got this what do you call it, the plate, as you say,
Plank.
You slide from side to the plank. You slide from the plank, yeah. You slide from side to side, and there's obviously lots of technical aspects to that. And you also mentioned that it's sort of a very budget orientated. In other words, you can build your own boat still. You can get out there for a relatively good budget and compete, and there must be a fairly sizable sort of social side of it as well. I mean, it sounds like a pretty cool class.
Yeah, well, on the plank, it's only in Australia we call it a plank because we're lazy, shorten everything down.
What do
In
they
the
call it
UK,
elsewhere?
well, that's sorry.
What do they call it elsewhere?
They call it a sliding seat.
Oh,
Yeah,
Sliding seat.
yeah. So in
Bit
Australia
like the
we call
figure. People like the figure 030, Jay.
it exactly. Too hard to write down. It's easier to say one syllable. So
Good,
yeah,
good old
So
Aussies.
we call it a plank, and they call it a sliding seat. But that's not as challenging as what you'd actually imagine. I say that because it's kind of like a slippery slide. Once you get it out to one side, you just sit on your ass on the plank, and as you guys called it, it's a garden bench. I think you guys called it before. You just slide your bum out a little bit and in a little bit. It's actually quite easy.
yeah.
It's only in the tack or the jibe you've got to flick the clutch, which is pretty intuitive when you're actually going through the tack and the jibe after a couple of sails. Yeah, and like you said, on the social side of things, we run a travelers series on the East Coast, and we're usually having a barbecue, beforehand, and beers after the sailing. Occasionally, just to do a bit of a debrief to see how we all went
That's a
and how
bit.
we could
That's a
improve.
bit the wrong way round. Really, shouldn't it be beers before and a barbecue afterwards?
Well, yeah, like maybe that is the wrong way. That's what we're doing wrong. Yep, exactly. Yes. But yeah. And over to you, Craig.
Well, yeah, I guess for me, the one of the I guess key points for us as a class was we didn't sail every weekend, which was appealing to a lot of us that have our own businesses.
Yeah.
There's quite a few of us,
The
and
travel
so
series.
as Geoff said, we set up this East Coast Travelers series, and not everyone can do every event, but we do get together, and it is great socialing. We generally stay at each other's homes when we're going up and down the coast, because we're as far up as Brisbane with Laurie Williamson up there, and then we're all the way down to Victoria at times. So and Canberra, and Bateman's Bay,
We had a
Jarvis
few down.
Bay.
Didn't we have a few down in Brighton Seacliff, Jay?
Well, they had Payne Mortlocks canoes.
Oh, the Payne Mortlocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Similar concept, but
Double hander.
sorry, Craig. On you go.
No, it's all good. Yeah, so I think that was just a great part of it, and then just being able to I got adult kids now, they still live at home, which is fine, but we can just go away, Jane and I, and do a regatta here and there, and there's always things to do for the ladies, and a bit of shopping, bit of just reading a book, and we go out there and do our thing, and then we'll have a dinner at someone's house, or we'll all go to dinner, just the usual things that we used to do when we were younger, and now we're just bringing all that back again. So it is great. It feels like we're getting back into our late teens, early 20s, you could say.
I love it. Craig, one of the things that you said before was you've been in the class just for a few years. Was it 3 or 4 years, I think you said, something like that. In my mind, when I go back on social media, that was right about when the trend to go planking was around. Did you just get it wrong, your social media element?
Yeah, I was a bit
Supposed to be
late.
training your core.
Yeah, I was a bit late. Yeah, and my daughters were all over that at the time when they were, mid-teens, and I was a bit slow with the uptake there. But no, thanks for pointing that one out.
Well, the other thing that I do want to jump on there is that an observation I've had for many years is with Geoff, you were saying how they call it the sliding seat in other parts of the world. In the US, I've always noticed that they have to actually specifically describe what something is in case they do it wrong. Like we call something a footpath, but they call it a sidewalk, because it's on the side of the road and you've got to walk on it. And they say eyeglasses instead of just glasses, so that you don't put them on the wrong part of your face. They always have the extra element to specifically describe what it is. That's a US trait, I've noticed.
Well, they might get sued if they don't as well.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the sliding seat terminology probably comes from, because they don't have that, the plank. That's typical Aussie. So I'm interested though, like, I've been watching a lot of video of these things, right? So for the listeners that haven't sort of jumped in and have no
I'd like
clue.
to go to this point, get a bit technical, Joe.
Yeah. So they're these long, flat, narrow canoes, as you say, and they've got a sliding plank that goes from side to side, a main and a jib. Looks like it's a self-tacking jib. The first question is, you can slide the plank from side to side. Can you move it fore and aft?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, like that's a very critical element of boat trim, particularly on the older boats with wider bows. If you've got the vang on hard and the main on hard, when you go around the top mark, you just go down the line pretty quick.
Yeah.
So like I
was going to ask how often you go down the mine, because I
am going to touch on wipeouts a bit later on. Let's go through the technical specs of the boat and not scare people away at this stage.
Yeah, that's right.
They are an interesting boat, and let's keep talking about that side.
They look lively.
Yep. Okay. So the technical specs, as Jordan said, we're 5.2 meters long. The current rules are a box rule for the hull with a few extra rules on that in terms of minimum beam, maximum beam, and pointy ends essentially. We're restricted in mast height. I think it's 6,300 or so off the underside of the boat, and we've got a 10 square meter sail area limit, and that's essentially it. There's a few other minor rules in there, but in a nutshell, that's it.
We're talking fairly box rule orientated. You can do pretty well anything inside those parameters.
And the reason we went back to that box rule, which was back in 2008, I believe, was to open up the development side of things, to actually make sure the class is relevant. And I actually really think it is right now. It's as Craig said, it's one of the best high performance boats at the moment, unless you want to go foiling.
What makes them so fast?
I'm going to have a guess. I don't really know. It's a combination of waterline length and lack of resistance. So the boats go through waves rather than over the waves, and that actually stops the mast pitching backwards and forwards. So you get a lot more consistent power and drive out of the rig. And the boat that Craig sails, and my boat is the same as from the same designer as Craig's. They're actually designed to sail like a cat and sail through the waves. So I think from what I can gather, that's what makes it go so fast. I'll let Craig chime in if he's got anything he can add on the speed text.
Yeah, I think, adding to that, I think another big part of it is the plank being so long, the amount of riding moment we can get is, it's pretty incredible when it's like 8 knots and you got your ass hanging off the very end of the plank, and you're doing, 8.5 knots to windward as well in 8 knots. It's just one of those feelings. It's different when you turn downwind because you've got no apparent anymore, but definitely upwind, they're the fastest thing going in under 10 knots.
They'd be lovely upwind. I did watch the video.
They're amazing. But you got the wave. Yeah, you got the wave piercing bow these days, like Geoff said. So there's not a lot of pitching. But like a lot of classes, like, a lot of keel boats, the 18s and stuff, we've got carbon everything. So everything's just stiffer, stronger, and you just get more horsepower. And, we've been playing with foils a little bit like we would have, Jay, back in the 5.0 days, with the flexi boards and jibing boards. We've been there and done all that. And at the end of the day, it's just about going sailing, get your head out of the boat, and you'll still get to the top mark, before the guy that's got all these other bits and pieces going on. We can have stern hung rudders. You can have a cassette system. The rudder can be under the boat, which, it works for a lot of guys in Europe. Doesn't work so well for us out here, when we're sailing a lot of waves and stuff. So, there's, as Geoff said, there's lots of little things. when I got in the class, no one was really using a self-tacker, and that was just my background, being a skiff background.
Yep.
And now we're pretty much all doing self-tackers, and the Europeans are now kind of coming our way. It's just another element of just getting your head out of the boat. The jib's already set, and you just, it's a bit more of an issue in a breeze, but, you learn to deal with it.
Are they fun?
Oh, shit, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the picture behind Geoff's head here, and I see the plank there. And are they foot straps there, or are they just sort of?
Yeah, not quite foot straps. They're just
little ledges.
Yeah, so you've got two on that plank there. There's two toe straps that go over the top of little foot weld or ankle weld holes. So you use weld holes to kind of either push yourself off the end of the plank or up the plank, and you can also hook your heels
like a little ladder.
Yeah.
Got everything on this boat, Jay. Got a little ladder.
I mean, there's a couple of interesting things that, can you read your compass from out there?
Yeah.
It's
on your wrist, mate.
Yeah, it is.
Get up with technology, bro.
I love it.
We almost need heads-up display, actually. We need that trickle-down effect from Sail GP or from the cards.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Like you must, because when you say for the listener, when they talk about going up, these things just fly upwind, right? You must have had, when you've been out training or racing or something, where you've gone alongside some big yacht or another dinghy class, and you've just gone screaming past them, upwind, and they're just. Have you ever had that situation where people have just looked and just like been completely confused?
Yeah, well, I guess I've done it quite a bit just out of Belmont, just sailing against the 16s, just when, the conditions are right. They kind of look at you and, okay, and then what's this thing? They don't. Most people, when they see it on a trailer, go, "Is that a moth?" So already,
that's kind of what I said earlier. They go under the radar a little bit. They
do. Well, we just don't have as many out there, I guess. But yeah, definitely on the lake, flat water. They're probably the quickest thing out there on the lake that doesn't foil for sure.
So you're saying faster than the 16th upwind?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to cop some backlash there. I know, but I know what I know.
That's what we love, though. You love your class, and you love what you're doing, and you've got to give the others shit. Otherwise, what's the point?
I love it.
That's right. It's different as soon as you turn the corner, of course. Yeah, but they're just like we were saying before. That as soon as you even get up to 14 knots, and you've got the first meter and a half of the hull almost back to the jib track position. That the boat, the bow's just kind of floating there, and you're just starting to plane upwind. It's a pretty sensational feeling for a boat like that. Yeah,
just like a speedboard windsurfer.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Back in the old days when you'd be on the fun board, and as soon as you get in the straps, going upwind and away you go.
That's it. Yeah.
Wow.
That was the point I was going to say earlier when you did get to the top, Matt, because obviously when you look at this whole, plank set up and riding moment set up, it's really a weapon upwind and potentially a weapon reaching. You get to the downwind mode, obviously there's going to be an element of technique that comes into it. Could you just...
just bearing away, BP.
Bearing away, that would.
I can't get my head around how they do the bear away.
It's like the 49er. If you're not in the water in a 20-knot bear away, actually putting yourself in the water to keep the chine down, keep into windward, you're gone. I'm assuming it would be the same. But my point is, when you do get to that point where you're sailing square downwind, the technique, is there not a pumping, but is there a rocking action to try and keep the boat flowing like a windsurfer?
Number one, the golden rule is don't go dead downwind.
Okay,
right. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that as well.
Yeah. So we actually normally would sail angles. I guess the exemption to that would be kind of under like 3 to 4 knots sort of thing. And, it doesn't matter where you go then. So you might as well just point yourself at the bottom mark. It's all around drag. I mean, in terms of rocking, ooching and pumping, we generally don't do that. We particularly in a lighter breeze, if you do that, you're more likely to actually to tip yourself
Disrupt.
in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I imagine that, there could be a technique developed for that, but I certainly haven't, tried it, and I haven't seen it in the international regattas I've done so far. So, yeah.
And another thing on that too, like in Europe, having not sailed them in Europe, but just looking at a lot of the boats have whisker poles for downwind because they just don't get the
I was going
breeze
to ask
we
that
get.
as well.
Because they sail on, dams, and we all know what that's like. So they're all trying to just sail VMG and under probably 8 knots of breeze.
That was my next question. Is there a whisker pole?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's optional.
Yeah. Everything seems you build it how it suits, but so that because looking through the videos we watch, they do have those little poles underneath and sail them dead square, so sailing with the gull wing setup. But you guys don't do that because it's not fast.
No. Well, yeah, it's just another element of trying to deal with. And as Geoff said, we've been leading up to the worlds here that didn't happen. We were doing a lot of that, tacking downwind scenario out of Belmont Bay and really starting to hone in on that.
Yeah.
Versus, sailing deep and at what angles, doing the usual crossover business to try and just figure all that out. So, no, it's been really interesting. But and even just centerboard, how much centerboard to have up and use that as a little bit of leeway, a bit like a laser, you roll it in the windward slightly and just let it kind of, slide
Roll
sideways a little bit.
Yep.
But you just got to be very careful. You got to have your shit together when you start doing that.
I think we're at that point.
No. Well, think about this.
No, I want to know about wipeouts, Jay.
Yeah,
no, we'll get there.
Jeff's your man.
Yeah, we're building up. We're building it up. Hey, audience, listeners, we're building it up. We want to hear about the wipeouts.
But first, like, let me try and understand. As you get to the top mark and you do a bear away, you have to. Let's say you go from top mark into a jibe, right?
Yep.
So to do that, you've got to.
What's that doing a Dino?
You're doing a Dino, yeah.
You've got to ease your jib, you've got to ease your main, you've got to bring your plank in and jibe it. You've got to bring your plank aft. You've got to get your centerboard.
You've got also to ease the vang as well.
Ease your vang, and then you've got the world's longest.
I'd be tending to over trim the jib a little bit.
You've got the world's longest tiller extension that you have to maneuver around. How do you do it? Like, there looks like there's a bit on. Is there a little like helper that comes out as you go?
You got a little cheat sheet, yeah.
Yep.
Go on, Jeff. You're big at this.
Well, look, I mean, it's all like anything. It's all around preparation. So, if I'm coming up to the mark, and it depends on the wind strength as well. If you're doing it in 20 bags, you've already got the plank and carriage well aft anyway. So, coming up to the top mark, you probably inch it back, maybe, 20 meters before you get there.
Is it on a rope system, or are you just moving it with your feet?
So most of them in Australia don't have a rope system or retainment system. Overseas, they usually have a retainment system to stop the carriage moving forward. I've never actually had my plank and carriage rock forward when you're being beaten upwind, and you got to remember as well the going upwind. If you're going to reef your board in 20 knots, you've got it reefed by the time you're going upwind anyway, so you can forget about that in the hairy conditions. And when you get the top mark, just before as you're coming in, you'd want to let your vang off if you haven't already let the vang off. And it's pretty much just slide it straight through. So the bear away into a run before you chuck the sail over is pretty simple. Just take it nice and slow. If you pull it too hard, you're going to stick the nose in. But in saying that, I've only ever gone down the mine once in my new boat, which is not so new now. It's about nearly 2 years old. So, like it's, I guess it's all kind of like, I take it back to when I learned how to windsurf. You didn't go out and try to, do carb jibes in the first time. You took it out, the sailboard out in 8 knots and you learn how to do non-planing jibes first, and you inch your way up. So similar to that, when you break the steps down, once you've got some time on water, you actually give yourself time to prepare. It's actually not that hard at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we talk
But
about steps now?
I guess, Jay, to answer your question a little bit more too, is that when it's that, 18 plus knots, that's when we all start getting a bit hairy with our bearaways, I guess, like in most classes.
Yeah.
I just treat it a bit like the 18 when obviously I've got a background in those, but it's a bit like, BP pointed out earlier, wing in, into windward slightly. Yeah. You've kind of half set up because the jib sheet comes out to the end of the plank as well. So you can already kind of.
Oh, okay.
So I'll always have the jib, the first foot of the 300 mil, let's say, of the jib just already luffing before the top mark. So it's already set for that new angle.
Yep.
And then
I guess the length and the skinniness of the boat.
It helps and it doesn't help.
You can let the jib. You don't use the jib to get away.
No, you actually don't want it there at all. No, if anything, the jib's what pulls you down. So bring boat into windward, and it's just like a skiff. Like you don't want to be in that death zone too long. So you're kind of going upwind. You slowly crack, and then when it's a bit of flat water or there's not the puff, then you just rip it away and overdo it, over bear away so the boat stays in the windward, and then you go, oh shit, I'm still alive, and then you can come up again because and there's just water going everywhere.
Can we talk about stacks? The audience want to hear it. I mean, this is what they want to hear.
That sounds like you want to hear it.
Don't go to the car races to watch cars racing around the track. They're watching them bang into the fences.
Yeah.
So what's your best wipeout, Craig?
Mine, I've had several. I've bruised ribs on the boom. That was just going upwind, so pathetic. I mean, that was the one that hurt the most, just going upwind and again on a skiff, that feeling where the boat almost comes up out of the water and then it feels light and then the wind just blows a bit more. And what happened was the plank just started sliding through the leeward because the friction came off the carriage. Yeah. And as the boat's falling over, I just went rib first into the boom, and that wasn't pretty. But the main ones are just mainly jibing. Like you're just so narrow, and you've got to you when it's fresh timing but definitely just more getting blown over. But the main thing is commit to the jibe, and then at least the boat's pointing the right way. It's like when you're learning to water start, isn't it? Make sure when you crash that the board and the sail are now in the right position to do a water start. That's how I always used to look at it. Just don't overthink it, but make sure it's all pointing the right direction. But I must say the most exhilarating kind of situations is doing the bear away. If you can keep the boat flat, like in any class, it does go down by the bow. But if you keep it flat, it will just pop out, and it's such a cool feeling. It really is. Right. And then you're still alive. As soon as you got a little bit of heel on either way, then it's all over. Like you don't pop out.
Do you coming into the jibe? Do you center the plank and have it sort of neutral?
Oh. Not really, because you kind of it's all in one movement because you're already out on it on the windward side, and so then the longer you sit in the middle of the boat for, the hull speed now drops and everything starts to load up like any boat. Yeah. You've just got to kind of all in a couple of motions.
Righto.
I love it.
So it's a big balls game, Jay.
I love it. Like whilst we've got you chatting away there, Craig. You're in a sailmaker of some note, as I said at the start. The rig design, like because the boats are so fast and then going downwind, you sort of go a little bit slower. Is it a difficult sort of sail design or are you just building quite flat, skiffy style sails?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we are. We use the masts we're using are from SeaTech, and they've done an amazing job over the years for us. So we've got to a point where our layup on the mast now, and they're just stock standard. Anyone can get the same mast. So that, the sail going upwind, very, very true, just pretty much a blade because we just don't need any drag. But then when we're going downwind, we want to simulate that kind of camber forward, kind of still a nice,
bang off.
Nice solid membrane so that we can still get pressure easy. We don't really worry about rig. I mean, everyone has adjustable rig tension, but it doesn't really come into it that much. But definitely having a solid membrane, Vang's very important. But mainly flat mains, but quite deep jibs to give us a nice big groove.
Yep.
And using none of us use carbons, but we're using like an aramid fiber now.
Right.
I mean, there's no need for carbon. It's a little bit overkill on our boats.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
For the sail.
Yeah. Okay. So
does the downhaul have a lot of influence on the shape downwind?
Yeah, it does. It does. So that's
similar to windsurfing.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. So it's the same as the 18. It's maybe the 16 to a point, but
pulls the draft forward.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we all know like a 16 is more like a fishing boat, so it's a little bit more underpowered.
You are in serious shit, bro.
Because
I've bagged them twice in one go.
You can relate though, like they are an underpowered boat, really. So I guess we look at more like the 18, but I love the 16 boys up here.
I was just going to say, Craig's clearly rigging up on the same lawn, and he's setting up a few battles.
No, they won't let me rig there.
Oh, okay.
No, they don't want to have anyone switching classes. We've asked that years ago.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's talk about sort of the evolution. So let's get into the history of it, just because it's a pretty cool thing. So as stated, these boats are the oldest sailing dinghy in the world so originally the 10 square metre canoe class. So 18? I'm just trying to find the numbers here. I'm going back. I know I've got them here.
Memory must be 1885.
Yeah, off the top of his head.
1886.
Yep.
They might have started before because that New York Canoe Club Cup was first competed for in 1886. So,
1885, mate. Don't you know anything?
I apologise.
I actually think it is 1886, but I kind of did lift my dates from a UK site, so I don't know 100%. I'm happy to be
old.
Well,
right?
let's just say somewhere between 1885 and 1886.
Yep. Yeah, okay. Let's not get hung up on that. So one of the things is that this class has been around forever. So what I find interesting then is obviously the international rule in 1936. So that would have been a critical development element to it. So there's random boats being built all over the world, and then suddenly this sort of rule comes in 36. But then you had, as you said, it's a box rule now, but you did have a one design phase there for a while.
Yeah, so I think back in the 70s, they adopted a one design rule, which was a Nethercutt hull design. And that was around up until 2008. And at the 2008 Worlds, or before the 2008 Worlds, Steve Clark in the US proposed going back to a box rule for the hull and keeping most of the other rules the same. And in the 2008 Worlds in Melbourne / Macrae, they actually had a development canoe class where quite a few people from around the world built canoes and brought them over. And at that Worlds, they actually had a meeting and voted in the new box rules. And the key thing to note there is that the new rules were designed around making sure that the older Nethercutts actually measure in. And as Craig can attest to, someone that can sail a boat well in a Nethercutt will beat someone like me in a new rules boat who probably needs to spend some more time on the water or less time drinking. So
I was just going to say, you. I mean, obviously, if Bicey was here, you're the Commodore of Jarvis Bay Sailing Club as well. So you give back heaps to the sport. So don't you're a busy man. The secret handshake would have happened if Bicey was here. The Commodore's secret handshake, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, so that element is there's an element of sort of beauty in that. Okay, let's build the class, bit of one design. Okay, things have changed. Let's advance the class. And from a tinkerer's perspective, as we all get older, we love just tinkering. Or if you've come through classes that you're allowed to sort of do this development. There's a certain appeal to that, because you can experiment.
And what you just said there is one of the main reasons I personally got into the class was the tinker aspect. So when people look at my boat and they look at Craig's boat, I've got things different just because I can, and I'm regularly changing my systems, even though I've been sailing canoes since 2010. I'm always thinking and tinkering and changing. So for me, it's I guess it's the overall campaign. It's nearly as much fun building the boat and tinkering with the systems, trying something, deciding no, that doesn't work. It didn't actually add anything. It just complicates a maneuver or something like that. And what I've actually been doing over the last probably 3 years is stripping a lot of the systems off. So I've got a very simplified boat. Like Craig said, around most of us run adjustable rig tension. I'm about to actually take that off my boat and actually just boat break it and then leave it, make the decision before I leave. But the tinker aspect, I think you'll find half the fleet are very much the tinkering kind of people, and the other half of the fleet are kind of like Craig, which is just give me the boat so I can sail.
Yep.
Yeah.
So from a build perspective, I'm just, there's a couple of different designs that seem to be popular at the moment, but you could go to a boat builder. I think you can, like Brett Van Munster, who's on the lake there, old mate BVM, get the full pre-preg carbon, or you could build it in ply or foam home jobby sort of thing. Is that right?
Yeah. So Brett Munster put together 3 pre-preg carbon shells, and Craig's got the first one, Stefan got the second one, and the third one's still being worked on now,
right,
and is available. We've got Tim Wilson down in Victoria, who can actually do anything from a partially built hull right up to a turnkey boat. Self-building wise, 2 people in Australia built carbon foam boats. Myself, I built the latest design by Chris Mass. He kindly put together a new design for me just before COVID hit, and over COVID that was my project. Hayden Virtue built a carbon foam canoe over a male mold, and and then we've got a.
How did you build yours? What?
I built mine by getting some female frames, CNC cut into MDF, and then I skinned carbon on one side of the foam, and then I pressed the foam sheets into the female molds and tabbed them all together, and then I actually did the inner skin, put the foredeck and bulkheads and structure in, put the cockpit deck down, and then popped it out.
Standard procedure for that type of boat.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, very much so. Like
without full tooling, yeah.
Exactly. But there are a couple of designs where there are full tooling, which is how we got Craig and Stefan's boat. And over in the UK, there's another design called the Morrison 3. So that's a really good boat as well. But going back to the self-build options, the most economical one is the Machete, which is from Steve Clark in the US. And what Steve tried to do there.
The Machete.
Yeah. Because it's just, so thin and long and sharp.
Okay.
Yeah. So a great boat. And with that boat, what he did, he worked with Chris Mass, who designed Craig's boat and my boat, and pretty much got the closest you could possibly get in a plywood boat to that hull design.
Yeah.
And And yeah, we've had one built up in Townsville, and we've got another build just about to commence in Brisbane with Laurie. So yeah, I mean those plywood boats there are
I
very
guess, Jeff,
easy.
they're just a flat pack, aren't they, essentially?
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So anyone
Like
that's
the old dinosaur bolster kids programs.
yeah, like exactly
Click them
that.
together.
Was that sorry?
Click it
Click them
together.
together.
Yeah.
Stitch and glue.
Yeah.
Yeah, stitch and glue. Yeah.
It's not quite stitch and glue, but
It's a
very
mirror.
much.
It's a mirror with a plank, isn't it?
Yeah.
So steady on.
Craig, I've got a question for you, Craig. This boat that you've got now is obviously not your first one. You wouldn't have jumped straight into this. Am I correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So, did you notice a big difference between what you had and what you have now? Because obviously, going a Munster, full carbon pre-preg program, it's got to make a big difference. Did you notice a big difference?
Yeah. My first boat was actually built by Geoff, and I think it sat under his house for many years. And anyway, I decided to get into the class. It was a way of getting in quite cheap, and all I had to do was finish it, put some deck gear on it, and go yachting. Yep. So it was the Nethercott design, which was great because it was quite stable, but like any class, as soon as you start making your way up the ranks, you start to
want to go faster.
Well, it breaks you in the beginning, and then you start breaking it, or wanting to go faster. But yeah, the first day we took the new boat out, it was quite challenging. It was just such a surprise, and it was light. But then within hours, it was a bit like probably trying to foil on a moth. I have never tried that. I'd love to, but I'm sure it's that same thing. Within a couple of hours, bang, you're already up. Okay, you can't do the corners, but then you start working on that. But unbelievable. And Brett did an amazing job for me, and we're good mates, obviously. And a full pre-preg package back then. It was amazing. We were just putting them in the oven with the 18s and the 16s and just juggling all those things. So it took a little bit longer because, there were mate rates involved, of course. And so we finally got there, and so the package was just incredible. And I just can't fault it at all.
I mean, they're quite skinny boats. I mean,
700.
Be,
750 wide, I think.
And 5-something meters long. I mean, the stiffness must make a massive difference.
Yeah,
I mean, surely
it's
different builds and.
Exactly. Yeah, I was talking to Brett the other day. He called into the loft, and we were just talking about that because we've broken a few things over time. But the one thing I said, look at this video, and it was of us me going upwind, and we're just looking at the forestay and everything, and going through these waves, and just no sag at all, nothing. The length and the width of the boat, it's an incredible job that he and Chris Mass came up with the engineering to be where it's at. And the thing's a rocket ship.
Cool.
Yeah,
Very cool. All right, let's talk about events. So obviously, you mentioned a few times, Craig, the worlds that didn't happen in Australia. Obviously, COVID got in the way. So the next worlds, I think, mid next year in Travemünde in Germany, correct?
Oh, Trevo.
Yeah, Travemünde.
Yeah, Trevor. Yeah, lovely place, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to hand this to Geoff because he's more into this than me. So and Jeff's going as well.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right. So unfortunately, we lost the Worlds because it got delayed 3 times due to COVID, and on the actually 2 times due to COVID, and on the third kind of run at it, there was no major interest from Germany or the UK to actually come over. So the decision was made to actually abandon the Australian Worlds and host it in Europe, just to get a Worlds out. And the main driving reason for that was, historically there's a Worlds every 3 years.
Yep.
And with the delays with COVID, etc., it was actually 6 years. It would be 6.5 years since we actually had our last Worlds. Yeah.
Terrible,
so,
isn't it?
Well, every 3 years, that's a weird number just to pop out. But anyway, that's cool. Keep going.
Yeah. Like I don't know the origin.
Social class, Jay.
Yeah.
Got to save up.
Yeah.
Got to save up.
Well, exactly, and like in terms of where that number came from, yeah, I'm not too sure, but I'd probably say it traces back to the origins of being a canoe rather than in sailing elements. So there's a few things in that rule like that we actually don't follow world sailing or sailing circles, which is kind of could be hot between the two, but that's a bit of a tangent. But back to the worlds. Yeah, the worlds are in Germany in 24. I'm going to go. I'm not too sure if I'm actually going to be taking my boat over. There's a small chance that we might be having a container go from Australia. I was chatting with Sean Langman earlier around that. So, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Sean. We need to get your 18 over there. Or,
Yeah.
Well, I'll have a chat to Sean. I'll
yeah. So, but
he loves the canoe, doesn't he?
Was that sorry?
He's sailing them, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
He loves them.
So he's the one that actually imported a boat from the US and imported the molds from the US.
Yeah.
No, he's actually quite a lot of fun, and he's actually the person I usually swear off the most when he does actually turn up to the regattas. Often I'm either chasing him and he's chasing me. But back to the worlds. It looks like it's just going to be me, and then we're actually putting another bid in for the worlds in 2026.
Yep.
And we're actually going to try and get them up in Brisbane in February out of Darling Point Sailing Squadron. So
Why not in Jervis Bay, mate?
I can see where it's going. There's some logic going on here, BP. You haven't picked it up. I'll let
I'm
Jeff.
not that intelligent, obviously.
Yeah, Jeff. I can see what it is. Go on, Jeff.
What, Sean Langman?
Yeah. So the reason we're going to go to Darling Point is we're trying to time the world so it's the same time as the Finn Worlds, and that way people from Europe and Germany can actually share containers to get over here. Do
you understand though, Jeff? With the Finns, you actually have to start racing at 8 o'clock in the morning and finish at 1.
Yep. I know.
So
I
that means
myself as well. So I canoe a thing. I'd be much happy if the canoes started at 8 in the morning, so you could start drinking after lunch.
It leads to a messy regatta, though, doesn't it? Really, I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, who can really stop at 1 when you start at 1?
We're trying to promote sailing here, mate. Let's just focus. So that is actually quite a clever idea.
Hey, Jay, sailing is social as well, mate.
Yeah, but the I don't want to miss the critical point here that by timing it around the same time as the Finns, there's going to be...
No, it's a great idea.
Yeah, so there's going to be space in containers to try and make it happen. It's a very clever idea.
I like it too. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and like the other thing is in terms of why not Jervis Bay, I mean, obviously that would suit me, and the international guys would like, the area, but we're, 2 hours, south of the closest port, again, 2 hours south.
I'm just a big fan of Jervis Bay, mate. I love the place. I actually lived down there for a while, and I actually really got a soft spot for the bay. It's lovely.
No, awesome.
I mean, to sail around in that place must be, the water so clean and beautiful.
Yeah, well, you can see the background I've got at the moment. That's JB on an average day when I'm out sailing by myself.
And that's 100 meters of water there, by the way.
No, I wouldn't quite say 100.
No, I'm only joking.
30 actually. But like in terms of JB, like my exercise for COVID, because I live 800 meters from the club, was to go out and go sailing, and I had a few Karens come up to me and try and tell me that I should in COVID, and I was like, I actually wear hearing aids.
Why aren't you wearing your face mask? Well, I'm sailing on my own, Dale.
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty amusing a couple of times. And it was like, all right. And, because I didn't have my hearing aids in at the time, I just go, not whatever, and walk away. And they'd be going off in the background while I'm pushing the boat in the water.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
So for the, if the worlds do come to Australia, for the overseas listeners, because we're huge and people are interested in it, Darling Point and Royal Queensland, where the fins are out of Royal Queensland and Darling Point are literally, across the water 100 feet apart. Around the bay, you have to go. It's about 1 kilometre, but from the perspective of having your gear and being able to go between clubs, it's nothing. So that
massive opportunity. I'm sorry I missed that. I didn't realise that's what the plan was. But for the international canoe listeners and the international fin listeners, it's a really good opportunity to cut costs.
Yeah,
and get yourself down here, because it's a beautiful part of the world up there in Brisbane for sure.
Okay, so sorry, go on, Geoff.
Right. When I'm over in Germany, they're actually they do like a European tour for the Finns. So all the Finns are going to be over there. So a big part of why I'm going over is not only to promote this bid, but also to get all the canoe guys talking to the Finn guys at the 24 World around 26.
Yep.
So, but anyhow, over to you. I just wanted to,
So remember, we've got listeners on a global scale. I'm assuming that you guys are pretty open to talking about your boats. Obviously, there's a lot of passion here. So say if a listener was going, you know what, I want to find out about the canoe, the IC. Do we have a nickname for it that I can use? You just call them the ICs, or do you just call it the canoe or the international? What?
Probably just canoe.
Yeah. Just canoe. Yeah.
Yeah. Like with a 50, obviously we call 505 a 50. It's just that. I just want to make sure I wasn't misstating it. So, but yeah, if you're a listener and you go, I want to know more about these things, they sound pretty crazy. First off, where are the sort of main sailing countries, so we can talk about that, and then we'll go from there, sort of thing, so we can narrow people in and get them to come to and have a look at them.
Yep. So the main sailing countries, in terms of fleet size, it probably goes the UK first, or Great Britain, and then the US, and then Germany, Australia, and Sweden are probably tied, and then there's a few in France as well. There's a couple over in New Zealand. Haven't heard from them for a while. They kind of float around a little bit, and there's a couple in Canada. So
Okay.
Canadians.
And if you're wanting to go and sort of, is there an easy way to get in contact with the class if people were interested in sort of finding out more about it?
Yeah, so in Australia, the best way to reach out to us is to go on our website, which is aussieIC.com. Internationally, there's a Facebook group, International Canoes. If you put that in the search, that'll come up straight away. Or if you just go to our website and go to links, you'll find all the links for the.
So what was that website again? So sorry, just say that again.
Aussie IC. So just
AussieIC.com.
Yep. So
AussieIC.com.
Yeah. So yeah. And one thing that while I think about it, I just go back to why we call the boats canoes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you guys, but I have a boat problem, and I've got an allocation of the number of boats I'm allowed to have, and canoes aren't in that allocation of boats. So it's a very, very important point. When I'm discussing it with the Minister of War and Finance, I've got a boat budget and I've got a canoe budget. Yeah, and they're separate.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Cool.
Awesome.
We're sort of getting close to our time, but one thing I was looking at these things, right? A box rule.
Yep.
I'm sure this is an original thought that no one has ever thought of.
Here we go, Craig. Geoff, you ready for this one?
On the end of the wings, how about putting little pontoons to provide float and speed and pressure?
Oh.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking, I wonder how many people have actually, obviously it's not allowed in the class, but where there are a little float, how where you, to prevent capsule.
It sounds like you should just get on a wetter then.
Yeah.
He's a self-confessed cruiser by heart as these days.
Yep.
His days of telling everyone about his 50 things are over.
But in saying that, like the class is for normal size humans, so it goes a long way as well.
There you go, Jay. You're in, mate.
I love it. I love it. Using our own work against us. That's beautiful. So speaking of that, what are the crew weight sort of ranges?
Yeah, I'd say the current world champion, Robin Woods. I don't know exactly, but I would guess he's around 65 kilos.
65?
Yeah, that's normal. That's normal.
Yeah. Well, maybe not quite. But I know Steve Clark in the US. Sorry, Steve. He's kind of like me, up over the 110 kilos.
Right.
So,
well, that's okay. That gives Jay and I a bit of a chance.
Yeah, and look, it really comes down to time on water more than crew rate. So if you,
you're always going to have your day. You're always going to have your day with the plank and the riding moment, aren't you? That's a fact.
Exactly. And to just answer the question around the floaties, on the
floaties.
Like the canoe in 8 knots is actually quite easy to balance. 8 knots, and under, you can literally just kneel on the deck and just slide the seat out side to side. To actually balance the boat. So you actually don't really need to move around. And then you get another learning
using it like crew weight.
Well, exactly. Like if you're older and less maneuverable like me, I just literally sit on the edge of the carriage and slide the seat in and out, or the plank in and out. So it's there's no need for floaties essentially.
As Jordan mentioned, we are coming to the end. I've got one last question. Is there an interest by the younger generation at all in this class?
Look, we probably the youngest we've got at the moment would be Laurie and Stefan. So there's not a lot of interest by the younger kids at the moment, but I think that really comes down to the fact that we've only issued 42 hold numbers, and even though we're quite active out there, we just need to get a bit more exposure, really.
Well, here we go.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Baccarat.
We'll give that a push. We'll give that a push.
I mean,
have you got anything, Craig?
I think you just said it, and these guys will just use a reverse curse on the class, so we should be in good shape.
I love it. Yeah, I mean,
we've got to get some T-shirts made, Jay. Seriously, this is getting too big.
Yeah, I think
we might make $200.
Yeah, the thing about the reason we wanted to get and talk to you guys is you go online and watch the videos. These things are lively, really lively and really fast and really quite exciting. And, there's a bit of carnage, as BP said, the crashes, going down the mines. There's a lot of fun to be had in the tinkering. So from you can be competitive for spending next to no money, right? You don't have to spend a lot of money to be competitive in this class. That's, I would argue.
And let's be honest, one of the biggest issues we've got and across the globe with sailing is that because it ends up into a bit of an arms race. It doesn't matter what class you're in. So I mean, I'd guess there'd be still an element of who's got better sails and who's got better this and better that. But it seems to me like it's very much a more of a attractive class. Yeah,
and I think also we're a bit of a handheld holding kind of class as well. We're trying to encourage people. So from that point of view, whether it comes down to like some of the older boats may have an alloy mast and the hull's fine, but we'll let's dig out a like a composite mast and throw that on and put a square top main on and get rid of the pin. There's enough stuff around where we can just make stuff work to get people on the water. And like you said, BP, the thing is you can, if you got half an idea, you can get on an old boat like I did and you're competitive. You don't have to have the latest and greatest. The only reason I got the latest and greatest because the worlds were going to be here and I knew what I was up against from overseas. So I wanted to put my best foot forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So that's sort of my theory is that we can, there's a lot, we're losing people because of cost. And, this is a class that you're going to go in, you're going to get the adrenaline charge. if you're a cool, fit young kid, you could come into this without spending many dollars, and you could smash it.
all you blokes.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Bring it on.
bring it on. There you go.
Come on, kids.
So
get in there and smash them.
What's the next? Let's specifically talk about Australia. With your traveller, what's the next event for you guys?
The next event's actually up in Darling Point Sailing Squadron. So next weekend, the Battle for Waterloo Bay. I'll be there, and Laurie will be there. So and then after that, we shift down to Sunshine for the Sunshine Annual Regatta, and then the next one after that is the Stale Port Stevens Dinghy Division. So
that'd be lovely.
Yeah. So no, that's an awesome little regatta as well. And then
Which is also our nationals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Craig, are you going to that one?
Which one? Southport Stevens?
Yeah.
Yeah, with bells on. That's in between our Portugal trip and our Alaska trip.
I'm in Portugal
part of the
right
deal.
now, mate.
It's in the middle.
I love it. Well,
I'm in Portugal right now. Pity.
I know.
We're caught up.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's about it, isn't it, Jay? Sorry, Craig.
I hope you're not there that long. I won't be there until April.
No, I'll be here. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's another story.
All right. Well, now you two go and make your social arrangements somewhere else. But a big thanks to taking the time to chat. Hopefully,
absolutely, guys. It's been
if somebody does
I loved it.
Reach out. So Aussie IC on is the website. Otherwise,
AUSSIE or
yeah.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
AUSSI. It's that website. And otherwise, International Canoe website. Jump on that if you're overseas. But the first thing I would suggest, just go online, go to the YouTube, wade through all the ads that they put on at the front, and then watch a bit of these things sailing and have a bit of a look. And you can see that you can pretty much turn up and be competitive. So, get into it. And if you want to have a bit of a go, it sounds like everyone's pretty friendly. So, yeah.
Oh, and in here too, in Australia, we've got loaner boats. The association has boats as well, so we can get people on the water just to have a go.
There you go. And for the
excuse.
Queenslanders next weekend, down.
There's a spare boat up there as well.
Jordan,
I know where that was going.
Jordan.
All right, lads.
I want to see you crossing the line first, like you did in the Finn, mate. Come on.
Lovely to chat to you both, boys, and I really appreciate it. Obviously, recording at this early hour, it's very cool, and
well done.
Best of luck, and stay in touch because we're into it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much for the opportunity. The class appreciates it.
Interesting chat, boys. Bossy, you're back, which is good.
Yes, I'm back.
So welcome. Obviously, International Canoe, it's a different sort of boat, but it offers so many different sort of experiences. And as we said, there's many pathways into it. We just wanted people to be aware of it. I like the look of it. I'm definitely going to go and see the boys next weekend.
You could add it to the repertoire.
Yeah,
Put one in your shed. They're only little.
Of single man boats.
Yeah,
they're only little. They're only little, Jay. You could slide it in the side there.
Yeah, well, there's one issue with my boats, boys. I never get to go sailing. I literally have not sailed my boats.
It's whoever wins.
So busy with other stuff.
Whoever wins has got the most toys at the end of the day.
Okay.
So all you need to do is just collect them.
Forgot about that. But these are cool. It was cool boats. Good guys to chat to. Clearly great guys. Bicey, you obviously missed your secret handshake with the Commodore there.
Don't worry about it. We've got this vibe going around.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah,
I reckon it's like the Masons. It's like there's a secret tattoo. They've got a secret tattoo.
Not allowed to talk about it.
Anyway, World's coming up in July in Travemünde in Germany. If you're interested and you're based over there in Europe, and there's a chance that they're not approved yet that they will be here at the same time as the Finns in Australia in Queensland. So that'll be cool. Yeah, go out and say good day to the guys, or just jump on, as I said, to those websites that we mentioned, and away we go.
Well, this is a bit serious. Like, it's really now getting close to the great race.
Okay.
The great race being the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. Now, Radix is a global product. We know that we're pushing it, and we know and we understand that's what its vision is. But for the Sydney Hobart competitors, you really should be thinking about this sort of stuff, because you need to be thinking about a new way of actually peaking and performing at your best. And this is the way to do it. Get on it.
There's no better place to perform at your best than the middle of Bass Strait, BP.
Absolutely. But there's a brand new range that's just been released this week.
Oh, yes.
Super high performance. It's smaller, lighter, and better for you. So it's just come out. It's called the
Is
V9.
it in a form of a pill?
No.
You just take,
no, not yet.
Take like a tablet.
Not yet. No, not yet.
800 calories.
The point is that it's just been released and it's available now. So get on the website, get on the ordering thing, and get into it. Bar Karate with the voucher, and we're going to work on getting you some better discounts.
So this is the V9 version. Yep. So breakfast to go. If you need a breakfast to go, which is a great idea, just jump on to Radix Nutrition. Jump on the website, go to and put Bar Karate, the one word, into your discount code, and away you go. Discount on us. Very cool.
Be quick. Be quick. I do tell you, be quick, because there's a lot going on.
Okay. Copy. All right. Club events, stuff coming up, interesting things that we need to be thinking of, boys. First off, Wasp Games are not far away. In Melbourne, 10 December to 15 December is part of the event. I think we might do a bit on that next week. I reckon we might try and zoom in a bit on those Wasp Games. The thing that's on the 4th to the 8th is the International Youth Match Racing Championships. Harkin International Youth Match Racing Champs. We'll give them a free plug.
At the CYCA?
No. Up at Newport. So, or Prince Alfred, I assume. So, yeah. So that'll be a big one. So all the young match racers, that's definitely something to put your eye onto. That'll be good fun. Definitely jump on that.
And let's not forget, Jordan Spence, we've also got the SA State Sailing League taking part.
I did see this
8, 9, 10 December as part of the Dockside Festival in Port Adelaide. So if you are a mighty South Aussie, come on down, check it out.
So that's next weekend.
Plenty of activity over the weekend.
Yeah.
You can watch from both sides of the river. Take it all in. Back her down next to the Birkenhead Tavern. Pop the boat up with your esky, or enjoy the festivities.
Get the Barbie
on the
out.
other side.
Get the Barbie out.
It is good place for viewing. It genuinely,
Get
if you
the
do
sizzler on.
It's stadium racing, exactly as they say. So you will be able to just go and watch the whole thing. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Moving forward.
We're on to the Jack Lloyd listener.
Sorry, my wife just rang.
Okay, Jack Lloyd listener of the week. But we might actually start, because it's that time of the month where we award the Vycobi listener of the month. And I think we might start with that and then go on to listener of the week, because boss.
Because then that starts the new month.
The new month,
so
that's correct.
We round out the old month.
Yeah.
I've got a candidate
for the month or next for the week.
Nah, for the month.
Okay, who are you saying?
Well, if we're looking at quantity, there's no one more so than Mr. Mike Holmes, owner of Magic Sailing Team, who sends us his report. We're obviously on the mailing list. Shout out to Mike, fellow flag officer from the CYC. And I've actually just put in my Commodore's report as part of Groundswell, the magazine this week, that I think Mike should actually have his own column.
Yeah. I've been getting that for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
We
keeps me up
replaced
to
his
date
rudder 3 years ago, and I think that's where we became his mate.
Yeah, keeps me up to date on all the racing that's happening.
He's a good man.
So I've got a candidate there.
Okay,
put on the table.
I'm going to state that the winner, I think, should be Scott Patton.
Oh,
but
mate, see his latest one.
Yeah.
Let's pitch. I almost threw up.
Okay. The latest I said it. So for the listeners, I'm arguing that, and I think we're going to give it to Scott Patton for one, sheer consistency of message. So Scott is the man that is constantly advising us on the alignment of our logo. He's got the OCD element down to a T, and he sent a bit of banter through the month, and including that photo of the boat with the three different 350 horsepower outboards on the back.
I had a nightmare about that.
That was so many people reacted to that. It was
I did.
hilarious.
I had a nightmare, except my nightmare went a bit further. It had a 350 on the starboard side, a 220 on the middle, and a 125 on the port side.
Anyway,
a one-legged duck swim in circles.
So for me, and unless there's an objection, I think Scott Patton wins because that also leads into some further discussion. Are we good with Scott taking the win? Much as I love Mike.
I think we can do that.
No, I concur, and I don't know if this is what you're leading into, Jordan. But speaking of Patton,
yeah,
the photo that he sent through the steps down on the ferry,
Beautiful.
No, that was
beautiful. I mean that. I actually looked at that about 7 times before I had to put it down. I had to. I literally threw my phone.
But for the listener, he sent a photo of it's looking down some steps aboard a ferry, and all the carpet pattern is completely blows your mind. It gave me vertigo. I had to sit down.
It's a full trip down those stairs, isn't it?
Okay. Very, very, very OCD compromised. But no, he actually responded. I put the hashtag out after World Sailor of the Year was announced with Slingsby, time for a statue, hashtag time for a statue, right? And a few people responded to that hashtag time for a statue. And Scott was one of them. So this week. So Scott's won the monthly award. Congratulations. We'll send you an email, Scott. Our mates at Vycobi will be providing a $200 voucher for being listener of the month, and you'll be able to 200 Aussie, and you'll be able to pick up some great Vycobi gear and improve your sailing. So guaranteed straight to the front on that. But separate topic, boys. Had a laugh at it's time for Slingers to have a statue, but with all seriousness, a bronze statue of Slingers as a boy sitting on the rocks overlooking the harbour where he sat watching the lasers during the Olympics in 2000 would be very cool. Where it all began, a story of being inspired and getting after your dreams. That's a brilliant idea. I'd
like to take it one step further and have him sort of on one knee with his elbow on his knee and his sort of head on, his fist on his forehead, like the great Greek anthology sort of statue.
The thinker.
Thinking about stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, the thinker.
Okay.
When I did read that from Scott, I thought, what, that is a spectacular thought.
It is a spectacular thought because it is time for a statue for Slingers.
I'll tell you what, Barker, are you going to do? We're going to commission a bronze statue.
It'll peter out. Anyway,
that's another peter out.
It'll be a peter out. But I followed back up.
We'll make it out of wood and we'll put some merch on him.
I wrote back to Scott and said, this is a great idea. And he said, yeah, I know. So we should somehow get this done. I think Slingers would actually prefer that than a statue of himself currently. It's a bloody good tale of what a kid with a dream can achieve. The bronzed Aussie. So, in bronze. But F me, I get the final say on how it's presented on the rocks. You blokes need to stay out of that. I do not want this thing listing off to one side. That's like the perfect, the whole banter in that it's the perfect email. Like he's just nailed it, mate. It's hilarious.
No,
yeah.
Fucking Indian giver.
Okay, just
Indian giver, mate.
You're
an Indian giver, Scott.
I'm going to find whoever's going to commission the statue. Scott's clearly going to commission it then. So that's well done, Scott. Good donation. We need to obviously go with the bronze look with the touch of Ginger.
Yes. A touch of King. Yes. Yeah.
Bronze with a bit more bronze with a bit of copper at the top.
Speaking of a touch of Kinger, Chris Howe.
How's he? Yeah.
Sent a little thing to me this week. And I'm saying Chris Howe because he was the first person to send it through. But
does he go into next month's listener of the month?
Yep. This is all
now
for next month.
Scott.
Him and Scott are into this is the next month. But I'm just going to say I got this come through from Chris, but then I got quite a few more people deciding to send it to me. I don't know if you boys noticed that one.
I didn't see it.
There was a little meme where there's a young little girl at the knee of Santa. So Santa's bending down and having a conversation, and this little red-headed girl is talking to Santa, and her response to Santa's question of, have you been a good girl, clearly has been, I've been as good as I can be. I have red hair,
Is that how you used to get away with it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I've copped that one all week. So, but yeah, Chris, it is quite funny. So that was a good one. And then, yeah, I think that's it. So it's been, it's a good week to be Scott, and yeah, go from there.
Good week to be Scott, and a good week. Plenty of emails coming in, but just for the listener, cheers@barkarate.com. Just send them in. Like, we just love the banter.
Yep.
Send them in email, Facebook, Instagram, Skype, Messenger, everything.
Just send it by cheers, please. It's just it's so much harder for me.
We should start a WhatsApp. Why don't we start a WhatsApp group? The Barkarate WhatsApp group.
No.
Oh, no.
No, for maximum banter.
No.
Oh, I'm doing it.
I'd have to fake number. I'd have to have a separate
2024 WhatsApp group. People can sign up to it and just.
I'll get a second phone. I'll get a second phone, pay as you go.
The burner.
And it'll be only turned on at certain times.
BP's burner. Yeah.
No, I'm saying no. I'm saying no. I could just see problems galore. Anyway.
It's hot time with Bice.
Oh, it's like someone farting. It's never not funny.
It's exactly like that. It just, I mean, so for the listeners out, the way this audio works is if we don't hear the music, all we hear is hot time with Bice at the end of it, and it just makes me laugh every time.
Oh, beauty. Well, gents,
massive,
it's come through this week as predicted. US Sail GP team the sale has officially gone through. Previous ownership with Jimmy is now handed over to a couple of investors. Taylor Canfield's the skipper. Who else have we got in there, boys? What do you think of this? Like, we knew it was coming. And there's a couple of parts to the story. One, the sale and the new team. And two, is there going to be an Italian Sail GP team in 2024?
Yep.
Well, I think that's the only reason.
Well,
I think that's the only reason.
Anyway.
One of the only reasons it's happened. I mean, if you look at it logically, there was a comment made on the socials about, Jimmy obviously being with the Italians for the Cup, and then it just made sense, really, to pull in a Sail GP team, for obvious reasons. On the other side of that, this is a fantastic opportunity for Taylor and the team USA. So, new owners.
I'd love to know what it was worth.
Well, I know how much Jimmy got.
Probably more than a sale of an X2, and probably more than your contract with Southern Spars.
I know exactly how much Jimmy got.
Exactly. Is that in the public domain?
No.
No. Right.
Yes. It's healthy, extremely healthy.
So what's that prove then? That basically the Sail franchise plan or whatever you want to model
is working.
Yeah.
Well, the ownership list was huge. So one of the critical thing to come out of it is that that was sports investment team. So there's the makeup of the investor group is money people, sports people. It's like a proper.
It's a huge group.
But it's a huge thing for the future of this whole event. People buying into owning sports teams. Obviously, owning a sports team in the US can be quite significant. We saw Mark Cuban, he owns Dallas Mavericks, or he owned the Dallas Mavericks. He sold most of his share in the Dallas Mavericks, which he bought 10 years ago for $350 million for $3.5 billion this week.
What a bad markup.
Yeah, investment.
Yeah,
Kind
fair
of sounds
investment.
like some of our business decisions.
Completely
Oh,
opposite
yeah,
to
I
what
mean,
we do.
Our merch is going well.
But the point of that is that suddenly you've got, people are looking at buying sporting teams, and SailGP have very cleverly offered that. And their TV ratings in the US are quite good. The ratings are almost what an NBA game gets. So it is starting to have some real traction, and it is a big deal. Now, the consequences of this is that it's an all-new US team in Dubai. So the next regatta, Jimmy's off the boat. The whole US team's new. So Taylor Canfield comes in. We don't know the makeup of the team officially yet, but this is new US team owned by new owners. So at Dubai, which is next week, I think, it's on Donkey Kong. So I'm really intrigued as who's going to pop up on the US
Taylor's
team.
been around a long time.
Oh,
Taylor's been around a long time.
But it's the most
right?
team-orientated boat, mate. It doesn't matter if Taylor's been around a long time. He ain't
but
coming
no,
in hot.
There would be. This would have been discussed.
That leaves us now in next week.
Yeah.
With slingers off.
Yeah, who? Go on.
The names have been bandied around.
Yep.
Who's going to jump on?
Yep.
Who have you got?
Well, we've got Nath Outridge.
Mm-hmm.
We've got
Waterhouse.
Jace.
Yep.
We've got
Nina Curtis.
Russell Coots.
Russell Coots. I actually know who's I know
Nina
who's steering.
Curtis, and we've got Jimmy
John Bertrand.
Jimmy Spithill.
Jimmy Spithill.
Jimmy Searing.
He's steering.
Awesome.
Yeah. They've replaced.
How good would that be, marketing wise? I mean, I'd be.
They've replaced the Ginga Challenge Bowman with the Ginga Challenge Sewer Rat.
The Ginga.
That's the worst part. Is how sewer rats don't know how to steer.
Anyway, but we've got rid of one red-headed Aussie and replaced him with another red-headed. I don't know, it's Aussie, but anyway, let's
the difference.
It'll be fun. So I'm really looking forward to. So I can confirm.
How much traction we got on that? Do you reckon that's a possibility, boys?
Oh yeah, well Jordan said it's true.
It's happening.
Okay,
it's done.
Yeah. Okay.
It's Jimmy Spittle is driving the Aussie team next week.
Awesome, love it.
Okay,
well done. Well done, us.
The other thing that I think that is pretty cool is one of you boys put up on Facebook the picture of the T-foils they're trialling out.
Yes, here.
Now that sparked some discussion, but one of the great joys of the discussion is that not only has it sparked discussion, it's created a whole new measurement system.
It has
the Henry Waterhouse measurement system. She's 1.5 Henrys long.
How many Henrys long is something?
Do you reckon that's how they're going to measure the AC40s and the cup boats from now on? Well, that's a 2.4 on the Henry.
Henry's got a new job.
I love it. So for those who don't know,
all you need to do, Henry, is go and lay next to a foil.
So Henry Waterhouse from the UK team was sending photos. We were discussing the size and stuff of the foils, and he laid down next to him and
he
was
can vouch.
snapping photos
he
off.
said, "I can vouch."
Yeah,
it's a 1.5 of a Henry.
Yeah, so
So Henry's off of looking after Ineos and being the diver and stuff. He's now part of the measurement team.
Yeah, we roll him up into a little ball at the end of the day.
Now, what I did find ironic about the photo that I did post with the foil out the water.
Yeah.
On the back of the boat, not sure if you noticed this, but there was a little sticker saying something about protecting fish under the ocean. And then on the back of that boat, their particular charity. And then about 5 meters in front of that, you've basically got a sword that will be underwater, machined out of solid titanium that will give the odd fish the odd headache, I would imagine.
I would have thought.
But they're doing that for speed. They're clearly trying to experiment with some different ideas in terms of finding more speed, whether it provides more stability in flight or what, I don't know. But
I wonder if it's going to add some riding moment as well,
where
given where the foil is and it's outside of basically the lift is further away from the centre line.
Yep.
So, yeah.
The other thing is, of course, I think somebody mentioned in the banter there that now they've got foil on the outside of the boat, and do you know how they come together sometimes? Some of those come-togethers, that could be ugly.
Nasty.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I think we'll see a little bit of a change.
We've had this discussion with all these boats. What about the AC40s? What if they come together? What if? It becomes a part of the boat, and I think
BP's
that, I think we're above that now. I mean, yes, it's going to be incidents.
Yeah. Haven't you had any radix?
Yeah, have you not had your food?
I haven't had any carbonara.
Yeah,
you're hangry, mate.
It's good to do it in your time, but you miss your carbonara.
With egg.
All right, cool. All right, but we're interesting to see how that goes.
Speaking of AC40, Jeddah, she's underway. Time of recording, got a day or so left.
Yep.
Observations, gentlemen?
Yeah, I had a good look today while I was busy at the factory.
Okay, you've probably seen more of it than any of us, but yeah.
I watched the whole lot.
Yeah.
Well, the Kiwis just shone for the first two races. Absolutely nailed it. I mean, it was light conditions, sort of between 7 to 9 knots. Kiwi shone for the first two races and absolutely blitzed. The big story is the American Magic. Had a lot of issues. I don't know what the outcome is, so we'll find out that probably more about that tomorrow. But I think the big one was the third race with the Italians getting up and having a win. So the Italians have got up and smashed it.
What I did like to see earlier in the week, the training out of Jeddah, keeping in mind that this is going to be a bit of a training base leading forward for a couple of the teams, but some quite windy and wavy conditions. Quite a few crashes.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I don't think these boats like waves.
Well, I'm thinking next move, they're going to need to strap their heads in. The whiplash going around. Bloody hell.
We're going to have like Formula One guards.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to turn the skippers into little bobbleheads.
No, we don't want their heads bobbling around, do we?
But what do we? I mean, the sailing conditions look pristine.
Yeah,
they look good.
Yeah, I mean, it was light.
It's a good. Yeah, but you look around the waters, the backdrop, something you don't see in every day. With all the palaces and the setup there in Jeddah,
true.
It's pretty unique in that.
In saying that, it was towing conditions for all three races, and they got them up and went around, and it was quite astounding actually. America dropped off the foils in the first race, missed the start, got back to the start. And in the third race, they got absolutely disqualified. Didn't get back over the start line.
Didn't get back to the start line.
So it shows how wild it is if you can just get on the foils and keep that power. I mean, they're amazing. They're amazing that they can do it. And we saw it firsthand in Villanova. Well, we didn't really see it, did we, Bryce? We sort of looked at it every now and again.
Too rainy.
Yeah, we were too busy. But no, the point is that, if you can get around the course and stay on the foils, and the Italians in the last race, it was a fantastic effort.
Yep.
Right. I've got some observations for you, boys. Speaking of the Italians, the skipper team for the Italians, Riccardo Tita, okay.
Yeah, the young guy, yep.
The Nacra sailor who's just been smashing it. And Marco Gladoni. Do you remember him, boys?
Marco?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Glido.
Marco Gladoni, 3-time world Optimus champion.
Oh, there he is.
You remember the young fella?
Yes.
Oh, he's in there, is he?
A couple of years back.
Yeah, so he's
correct.
He's still all of 45 kilos.
But I think that's an interesting one. The other point of observation is how strong the Kiwis looked.
Yep.
As you say, American Magic team didn't look good. I thought Ineos team was great. They're definitely quite achievers. I think that's definitely something to keep on mind. The thing about the Kiwis in the third race, every team towed up except the Kiwis. They decided that they didn't need to tow up and ended up coming last.
Oh well,
is it's
Not laughing at that, but do you think that was a good decision?
no.
Well, it was actually a very poorly executed jibe that did it, and that's what they'd won the first two races comfortably, and then they're coming into the last. I think it was the last leg. Actually, they were sort of sitting in third, probably happy with their day with a 113. I mean, in Jordan's scorecard, a 113 in your first day is not a bad effort.
Not that consistent.
Anyway, they've had a bit of a wobble coming into the job, and it was pretty all over from there. It was just and it was the same with American Magic when they fell off the foils. They just couldn't get back up on.
Yeah, listeners, I've just come back to this cup stuff. It's Sunday now, just as I'm about to publish, but I've been watching the whole thing from Jeddah, and there's just so much that we need to mention. Obviously, it was just fantastic for one, but two, the standout performance of how well that young Italian team, I think Gordoni and Tita, just doing such a good job. Obviously, there's some established sailors there, like Jimmy, for one, that weren't sailing. And these two sailors with the young skippers were young, the trimmers were very experienced, did a fantastic job. So we ended up with the match racing final with the same two teams from the last Cup, New Zealand and Italy. And they looked super quality throughout the whole weekend, and it was just really good to watch. If you haven't watched it, go and chase it down, because it's on YouTube. You can see it, and it's fantastic. And the match racing was really good, really close. Next time we go and do one of these preliminary regattas, we step up to the big boats. So probably the last time we see the 40 for a while, except for the youth and the women's America's Cup, but really exciting. The other thing I think of interest, when we talked about in Sail GP how Jimmy Spittle stepped out, they've sold the USA team. One thing we've asked in the past of some of these skippers is how the time pressure of doing both Sail GP and the Cup, that's suddenly gone away for Italy, because Jimmy now is totally focused on the Cup. I wonder if that'll make a difference.
One of your favourite things to be watching, Jordan Spencer, the SSL.
It's still
the
going.
Gold Boats.
Yeah. How was it?
So it's just advancing, moving forward. There's been performances and
we're onto the semis.
People not performing, and
it is.
Will Ryan had a lot to say. Today. Our mate Will. I mean, he must. I think. Well, no, we gave him the gold, didn't we? Do you think the reverse curse can be done twice?
It was a tough one for that one. So, it didn't go well, did it?
Well, no, he's won. He's got through the first heat, and he's looking good, isn't he?
No. We're way past that. Yeah. So the quarterfinals all finished up last night.
Okay.
Yeah, and if we're going to talk about the Australian team, so going into the fourth race, it was the Brazilians. We had
Brazilians. You're right. Yep.
Brazilians were in their leading, and then Australians were second, and then going into the last race, it would be only the one advances. So the two advance. Sorry, and it looked like Australia and Brazil would go through. In the final race, it's double points. New Zealand won, right? Which bumped them right up. And then Australia and Brazil were literally right next to each other and finished within centimetres of each other, Brazil just beating Australia. So New Zealand and Brazil.
The green and gold took the win, basically.
Yeah, the green and gold took the win.
Yeah, green and gold had a win.
Yeah.
Is that Australian gold or canary yellow?
No,
the Eastern Australians.
Yep, the Eastern Australians.
Or Western, depending on which way you go.
Yeah. So that's it. So basically, Australia are out now. So
okay.
So New Zealand and Brazil.
Well, so I guess I've only got to go for the Portuguese. Are they still in?
I'm just trying to jump forward to find the results.
Can I jump to the next topic then?
Yeah, I'll jump to the next topic.
And everyone else can look up there. No, I've got one more, boys.
Yep.
Go on.
We got the Retour Le Base. You like that? A little bit of French in there.
Yes, we have got
starting
that.
off today. So at time of listening, they'll be a couple days in, but they're heading back. The IMOCAs are heading back to as part of their qualifier for the Vendée. So heading back from Martinique to Lorient. So that's
Interesting story from
keeping an
Team
eye on.
Parisian.
Oh, sorry. Do tell.
Interesting story from Team Parisian. Giancarlo Padotti got himself some heat stroke and hypothermia all at once.
Nice.
Sounds like
So
a good
he's-
night out in Hindley Street.
No, the poor. I mean, I know Giancarlo, great guy. So he got himself, pretty messed up. They've actually flown him home. The boat's going to go back in the race, but he's gone back home and getting sorted because that doesn't sound fun to have heat stroke and hypothermia at the same time.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare.
Real
All right.
Kind
Just-
of like being sick and no, not saying it.
Yeah. All right, Jordan. Sorry.
I was
Carry
just going to. I've found my results. So for Star Sailors
there
League,
we
this is going through into the semi. So in Fleet 2, Hungary and the Netherlands made it through.
Well, there's Jean Bourg, so he's in. Jean Bourg's in.
Yep. So Hungary looking really strong, 4-4-2-8, so 3 wins in their group. The Chileans didn't end up having a great one. They were great, hot coming into these, but got knocked out. Brazil, super hot. So they 16 points, they took the win. New Zealand 13, Australia 12. So that 10 centimetres made all the difference. And New Zealand were last, and then a
Double
second
points.
and then a win. So that's the double points win made a hell of a difference for them. And then in the Fleet 4, Spain, convincing, really, really strong, 3 wins and a second. And then Italy making it through. And then into the final team, GBR. Solid wins across the board. They didn't lose a race. France then next crept through just in front of Malaysia. So GBR is the hot team coming in. And
Shut it down. BP needs to eat his carbonara before he
Oh my
loses
God.
his shit completely.
This has been going on for 2 hours. This bloody hell.
All right, boys. Excellent. All right, thanks for listening. Thanks for the International Canoe guys for joining us, and best of
absolutely.
luck.
It was great chat.
Let us know if you go and have a look at one and you're interested. Just give us your feedback. If you do want to send us
Got
any
the website there, Aussie. What was it again?
AussieIC.
That's it.
.com. Yeah,
.com.
and-
Aussie
Or just
ASSIE.
search International Canoe. But yeah, she's all good. And then have a great week.
Yes.
And reach out at any time. Remember, if you do want to load up on some Radix Nutrition, just go to their website and type Bar Karate into the code and you get a discount on us. And enjoy your week and go from there.
Well done.
Love it.